Hey there, I'm Crystal Beasley. Today we'll be talking about what neuroscience tells us about designing facial expressions for your VR avatars to keep them out of the uncanny valley. This is embodied reality. Have you ever walked into a meeting and despite the fact that no one has yet said a word, it feels like all of the air has been sucked out of the room? You know in a fraction of a second something's wrong. You have your mirror neurons to thank for that ability. Mirror neurons are responsible for making you smile when someone smiles or frown when they frown. This is an automatic response which requires no conscious thought. They transmit the social signals that synchronize the mood of the group. Even before we had the heart eye emoticon, we had to figure out how to signal our emotional state to each other. When I say before, I mean way before, back when we lived as hunter-gatherers. Facial expressions signal the current status of the individual. Think of them as Facebook status updates you're sending out continuously, even the ones you don't mean to send. Why do we do this? There's an evolutionary advantage for the whole group to be able to monitor the emotional status of the individual and transmit those signals to the group when necessary. If an individual is in distress, whatever threat is causing that distress may also be a threat to the group. Conversely, if something good is happening to an individual, the tribe may also have an interest, say a stash of delicious huckleberries. Humans are exceptionally good at reading the facial expressions of each other. Our brains have a large visual processing cortex with a sub-area that's devoted to facial expressions. The first thing babies fix their gaze on is mom's face. It's literally the first visual stimuli babies figure out how to make any sense of. We rely on reading facial expressions to help us determine if what people say is a lie, sarcasm, a joke, or sincere. The muscles used for a real smile are different than ones in a fake one. A real smile, researchers call that a Duchenne smile, involves lifting the outside corners of the eyes.
Which smile is fake?
The careers of actors and politicians rest on their ability to convincingly fake smile on command. It turns out there's two different regions of the brain that control smiling. Real smiles are directed by our involuntary motor cortex. Fake smiles by our voluntary motor cortex. Stroke patients who have damage to the involuntary part of the brain will be able to smile on command. If you show them a picture of their favorite pet being cute, their face will be blank. The emotional smile is paralyzed. Conversely, if the voluntary motor cortex is damaged, the smile will be genuine at Fifi's antics, but they'll be unable to smile on command.
What?
Our higher functioning brain also allows us to realize that others have a motivation to smile on command when it serves their purposes. All this is to say that phone scams work. Studies have shown that the most effective way to bilk Grandpa out of his life savings is a phone scam. Without the visual data about facial expressions to cross-reference, it's easier to be convinced of a lie. Scammers aren't going to show up on Skype. If Grandpa could see their face, though, he would know it was a lie. The current state of VR is basically us having phone calls with mannequin avatars who have no facial expressions. Or even worse, they do have an expression. The uncanny valley concept was actually made to describe situations like these.
はいと返事をします。
はい。
いいえと返事をします。
いいえ。
顔をしかめます。
If you have a face frozen in a smile, that's great for some scenarios. No, too creepy. Yeah, all right, I got it. Don't use a smile. One day we'll have facial tracking hardware that will align Avatar's expression with the players, but that day is still a long ways off.
Marking a milestone in real-time performance capture.
Until then, there are a couple of approaches, none are perfect. Option 1, don't use the detailed face. The low poly aesthetic that we got going on right now is actually doing us a lot more good than just processing speed. The simpler the face, the less potential for uncanny factor. Let's look at a highly detailed representation of a human, Rodin's famous thinker. Rodin's dude is, well, he's a dude. He's a mid-40s, white, European from the working class. Even though he's all bronze, we can tell his hair is probably brown. Lastly, he's having a bad day. From the depth of that expression, more like a bad year, perhaps even a bad decade. Think about it. That is a lot of shit to take away from a lump of bronze. The more detail in human likeness you use in your avatars, the more of those classifications your player will inevitably make about the avatar. There is no default human when you have that much detail. If you use that much detail, there's no way not to indicate race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, age, and gender. It's super powerful when done well, but the sharp sword slices in the other direction as well. With great power comes great responsibility. If you have an avatar with this level of detail, you must have them display the correct facial expressions for the context. If you don't have that skill set and budget, you want to avoid like the plague a bunch of players walking around with frozen faces like some B-rated zombie flick. That is unless you want to be a B-rated zombie flick. What do? Check out Normal's cute keyboard guy. Or lady?
Wow. It makes funny noises for wait, is it a cat? Or a dog?
Well, he looks like a cat, I guess. But like, smell.
Whoa, dog smell.
This character is endearing, but not specific enough to pattern match any particular ethnicity, race, socioeconomic status, gender, or age. How old is this character? I don't know. What race? It isn't a race. The face is simplified that such subtleties aren't even possible. You can't see the muscles around the mouth and eyes as you do in the Rodin sculpture. Hello Kitty has no mouth. Take off the big bow and she might as well be a boy kitty. If you don't want to worry about facial expressions at all, use an avatar with no mouth or eyebrows. You'll lose expressive ability, but that's better than using the wrong expression for the context. Unless you're going to put in the work to make complex expressions match to the context in your experience, this is an ideal level of visual detail to aim for. It has enough to look like a character, but not so much that it becomes uncanny. Option 2, obscure the face. Yes, it's a cheap trick to put sunglasses or a helmet on your character, but it lets you have your cake and eat it too. It might be just the thing if you have a highly detailed environment where a low detail avatar would feel out of place. Just look how much money Zelda saved on not paying animators by putting a mask on the villain Sia. Number 3, not use a human at all.
It's just a demonic cat.
Lizard people, orcs, the less human the better.
Oh my god, it's Marshmallow. Dude, that's tight, man. Fuck it.
Today we talked about the levels of visual detail from simple, no mouth or eyebrows, all the way up to fully photorealistic characters. Choose the right level of detail to serve the goals of your experience. The more facial detail, the more important it is to have the character react with the correct expression. Choose according to your time, budget, and expertise to properly do that. As always, hit me up in the comments below or on Twitter at CrystalDBeasley and let me know what you're building or ask some questions. Hit the little YouTube subscribe button to get a nice note when I publish new episodes. Till next time, I'm Crystal Beasley.
Where else would I be? Out night clubbing?
And this is Embodied Reality.
Everything's okay, I'm just trying to act right. Everything's okay.